were heading towards a nearby home, a two-story house with a noticeably dead tree in the front lawn. The ground around the tree is littered with broken limbs, and the front door of the house is wide open.
The live wires have taken charge and are heading home.
The house, as the director overseeing the excursion requests to be relieved of duty, citing the onset of a debilitating eye. The D-Class enters the house, finding signs of struggle across the living room, with the couch and an end table being overturned, along with a hole in the wall. They move through into the kitchen, finding it to be in a similar state of disarray, with dishes, food, and appliances littering the floor. Most of the items show damage, suggesting they were struck.
The live wires are now on a mission, moving that platform.
As they move towards the sink, they find a small pool of blood on the floor, along with a pattern of spatter on the walls and counter, suggesting that an assailant delivered several successive blows with a bladed weapon. The D-Class kneels to take a sample of the blood, and also notes that a meat cleaver seems to be missing from a nearby butcher's. A series of blood stains lead towards the door at the far end of the room, covered in marks and scratches, and is determined to be locked from the other side. The D-Class attempts to kick the door in, but only manages to splinter some of the wood after a few attempts. They walk back towards the other side of the kitchen and charge at the door, breaking through. They then barely manage to avoid falling down the stairs on the other side of the door and are chided for their reckless behavior. The command tells them to go down the stairs,
The Vogues are on the
light
advance.
switch fails to turn on a light. They begin to debate the merits of investigating the basement, placing a heavy emphasis on the value of their own life. In the end, they are persuaded to continue investigating on the threat of being electrocuted. They activate their pencils, draw their firearms, and set to the stairs in a ready state. The basement turns out to be largely empty, but something on the ground in the corner of the room blinks in the light of the exit. The D-Class approaches, finding it to be the missing meat cleaver, wet with the blood. After inspecting it, they also notice a hole in the concrete wall, an exhaust vent leading above ground. A piece of fabric is hanging from the side, and upon closer inspection, is revealed to be a pant leg. The D-Class pulls at it, finding it to be a tattered pair of tan slacks worn by the researcher. A rustling sound is then heard from within the vent, and the D-Class leans in closer to see. Something fleshy is then seen quickly moving up the vent to the height and out of sight, at which point the D-Class promptly withdraws. Due to these discoveries, the researchers are dead, so the D-Class is instructed to travel out of town to further document the nature of the area itself and determine its boundaries. Little or no happens for the next 40 minutes as they travel, eventually passing through a densely wooded grove of silver birches.
The live wires are now at the
This
helm of that
geography
platform.
remains consistent with baseline reality for another 2 kilometers, at which point the forest gives way to fields. Soon they find a small cottage, revealing that they have somehow emerged back onto the other side of town, except that they cannot see the limbs of the victims sticking out of the body. Approaching closer, they find a large circular area of overturned soil instead of a pit, and a distinct lack of corpses. There's also no signs of the D-Class's presence from before, such as the harness and relay device, causing them to panic. Command instructs them to hold their position while they decide upon a course of action. They confirm that the harness's tether hasn't moved at all since the D-Class removed the harness, and determine that they have possibly entered a figurative spatial zone adjacent from the original area. It's also decided that exploration beyond this point will best be handled by personnel experienced with excursion to this nation. The D-Class is instructed to follow the road back towards the area. As they are traveling back,
Zipping towards their base with
they
style.
remark on the absence of any form of life.
Reloading.
As they do so, a rustle of leaves can be heard, and the D-Class turns, finding the naked body of an elongated SCP-70
Glitching some screens.
sprawled across the road. The D-Class swears loudly and continues, soon
over there.
finding another victim stretched along the road. They withdraw their firearms and take a step towards it, when a rustling and snapping sound is heard behind them. They turn, finding that the victim there hasn't moved, but their body
Going
and
down there.
arms have clearly grown and elongated,
We have
twisting
new
and
owners out
breaking,
there. The
placing them
Life Flares have
closer
seized
to
the
the
reins.
D-Class's position. More snapping can be heard once again from behind them, and the D-Class quickly turns and fires their gun. The neck of the victim there had elongated and bent in a way that placed their head roughly a meter away from the D-Class at eye level. Though several rounds are discharged into his face, it elicits no reaction, and more snapping noises can be heard from the other victims. The D-Class quickly flees at this point into the woods, running for several minutes and ignoring Command's advice to keep the road within view. They eventually stop to catch their breath, coming to rest on a large rock, with no sign of pursuit from the victim.
are being tossed aside.
The D-Class reloads their firearm and consumes an MRE, consulting with Command about their relative positions.
Vanish box out.
Eventually, they set off again, and the trek is largely uneventful over the next 14 minutes.
The
before
Vogues are now at the helm of that
suddenly
platform.
stops. They claim to feel minute vibrations in the ground, coming in short, punctuated bursts, and despite being assured that this is likely due to the unstable region of space-time they insist on remaining still and listening. They inform Command of a muted thumping noise along with the vibrations, but these are not picked up by the audio. They begin to advance carefully. Off in the far distance, a single silver birch tree is lifted vertically out of sight above the tree line, although they don't seem to have noticed it.
We're down to the
As
last
Command
30 seconds.
attempts to inform them of this, the tree comes back down through the treetops, much closer to the D-Class, impacting and shaking the ground. Despite the thickness and mottled white coloration, however, it is not, in fact, a birch tree, and it bears no branches. As the D-Class is instructed to approach it, another similar object lands directly next to them. The D-Class stands and inspects the second object, seeing a faint impression
The Vogues
of
charted a
ridges
course to the wind this
and
time on
grooves running
power
along
shift.
it.